Warriors.
gangbusters.
Quick hitter on the Warriors. What do you make of what's going on with the Warriors? It's like Kerr obviously doesn't like Kuminga. It's pretty obvious. He doesn't want to play Kuminga. The whole thing is kind of tired. Steph is done. It's really obvious. He's not. He's can't. Well, he's done as far as being Steph. He's not. He can maybe get it going for a night here, a night there, but he's already talking about retirement now, and it's like it's looking. These people that were like, "Oh, he's going to go on forever." It's like,
He went longer than I thought he would.
Yeah, but literally, this has been a precipitous drop. He's fallen off the table this year. It's just not been good, and he's not playing in one of the next two games. He plays a couple, he sits a couple. It's like he's older. They're trying to get the ball out of his hands, which is why they traded for Schroeder.
Right.
And
that's going great.
Schroeder and it's really hard to. You can add a rebounder, you can add a player off the bench or whatever, but if you're going to take the ball out of the primary ball handler's hands and put it in somebody else's hands, that's a major fundamental change to your team, and it looks like it for the Warriors. They've played really badly with Schroeder and have looked bad ever since.
It's a ball stopper.
I don't want Jimmy Butler. I really don't.
It's good.
I know there are people.
Pat Riley said they're not trading him.
Yeah, Pat Riley says he's not going anywhere. It's I listened to a lot of JD on Just Dubs, and he is so anti Kuminga.
I'm with
that. I'm having a hard time listening to that because Kuminga is clearly the biggest talent on the team at this point, and he's got and
he's Keldon
he needs
Johnson.
To play. He needs
Johnson.
to play. He needs to play. Whether it's going, they don't want to trade him. Because they're afraid of trading him, but they don't want to pay him because they're afraid of paying him.
They're petrified. They're petrified of making a decision. They're petrified of making a decision.
So what's the deal?
Never
with the
had to make a true decision.
Yeah. What's gonna happen here?
They're gonna go into perpetual Giants mediocrity. They're going to not make decisions, and the world will happen around them. That's what's going to happen because they couldn't pull the trigger when the opportunity was there this summer because they have to win every deal because they think they're so goddamn smart. And it's a born on third base, thought you hit a triple situation. You inherited Steph Curry when you bought the team, and you lucked out immensely in getting Bob Myers into the situation and Steve Kerr at the right time. And they haven't made a risky play since then. They refuse to do it. And now they're high on their own supply, and it's years of it. It's just riddled their brain. And they're now petrified of what will probably happen, which is Jonathan Kuminga will be a better player when he's not on this team. And they're so afraid of the PR backlash to that, even though they have to know that so long as Steve Kerr is the head coach of this team, Jonathan Kuminga will never be the right fit for the Golden State Warriors. He cannot play in this system. And frankly, I don't think that he'll change his game for anybody, but at least on a shitty team, he won't have to change his game. It's a Jordan Poole scenario. And so they're just going to wallow in this indecision because they're too afraid to do this addition by subtraction thing. They had an opportunity to maximize the value this past summer. They chickened out from doing that. Now that opportunity's lost, and they still won't be able to pull the trigger because now it won't be any sort of a win of a deal. If Lowry Markkanen wasn't enough to get it, who the hell is that you can actually trade for? Because fiscally, it's very difficult to make trades in the modern NBA. And so they'll wallow in this, and they'll keep convincing themselves that Kuminga can make a jump, and he's going to end up like Keldon Johnson. His game will never evolve because it hasn't evolved yet. Only his opportunities have increased. And he'll just be bully ball, bad three-point shooter, total ball stopper on offense, antithetical to effectively everything that Steve Kerr stands for. They won't get rid of Steve because they know that's a bad decision, right? Because then they'd be handing over the team to Jonathan Kuminga, but they know they can't give the team to Jonathan Kuminga because he's not good enough for that. So they're not going to maximize what they have, and they're not going to get rid of a guy who doesn't fit and definitely thinks that he should be more of a focal point. And so they're just going to live in this toxicity forever because they're afraid to make a decision one way or another. If they really felt some way about Kuminga, they'd pay him and they'd fire Kerr. And if they really felt like, hey, Steve Kerr's way is the way that we do business here. It's his way or the highway. They'd jettison Kuminga and they'd take the L. and they'd move forward, and they'd be better off for moving forward because this is a team that's having a players-only meeting. Those are 3 words that tell you that they are cooked. Let me know the last time a players-only meeting worked out.
I mean, here's the thing. I mean, they want to win, and they want to play. They want to develop Kuminga, and it's like you can't. I don't know if you can do both. I mean, yeah, but you took a guy who was a baby. He was 19, so now he's 22. But I mean, he's played 37 games where he's played 30 plus minutes.
Yeah.
In those games, he's averaging 20 a game, 5.6 rebounds a game, shooting 54.2% from the field. He's shooting 42% from 3.
Do they win those games, Larry?
And he's got a plus 34 net rating. That's the question. That's the point. It's like when he plays and plays well, they don't win.
Correct.
But if they don't have him playing well, they can't win. You know, they can't win anything.
I don't know if that's true.
Substance. I don't think they can. I mean,
can they win anything of substance in either scenario?
My point is just like, I know he's needs minutes to play well. And when he plays well, there's an inefficiency about how he plays.
Correct.
So the team doesn't necessarily play well.
Correct.
Well, like
What's this about then?
They're not going to win anything if Moody, Podziemski, Trace Jackson Davis, and Kuminga don't play huge minutes and lead them there. This whole because you can't be led there by your old power forward and your old point guard. They're too old. I mean,
then shift off of them. Then make the move. Then do it. Then buy in and do it.
Is the right move to move off of Kuminga, or is the right move to move off of their old guys and see if you can get your old guys somewhere else and go with your young guys?
I would move off of Kuminga. I'm willing.
If I told you, Dieter, you got to bet everything you own on Steph gets a ring or Steph doesn't get a ring. You're betting on Steph. You're betting on Steph not getting a ring.
Well, I'll bet on Steph getting a ring before Jonathan Kuminga gets one as a number 1.
But I mean, that's a totally.
No, I feel like it's a strictly binary scenario at this point.
But that's a different conversation because you're not winning either with him either. But my point is just that.
So why are you keeping him?
Steph's not winning. So you're not winning with Steph. I don't.
But you're not winning with Kuminga. So why are we doubling down on Jonathan Kuminga? Because
Kuminga's got a future and Steph's got a past, and you're selling tickets in the future. You're not selling tickets in the past.
You're trying to sell tickets to a winning basketball team, and you're not going to have that with Jonathan Kuminga.
But you're not going to have that with Steph Curry.
At least you have nostalgia with Steph.
Yeah, but I mean,
and when Steph turns it on, it's still one hell of a show. When Jonathan Kuminga turns it on, you lose by 15.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's worth gutting your roster.
Oh, I don't want to gut it. I want to trade Jonathan Kuminga straight up.
Try to get an old player who can somehow be the key old player that enables Steph to make a run. The priority should not be getting Steph another ring because that's a crazy illogical thing.
That's fine. Then trade Steph Curry and trade Draymond Green and fire Steve Kerr. Pick a lane.
Well, is that how you see it? It has to be you can't go to the finish line with Steph if you can't win with Steph. See, I think you can go to the finish line with Steph even if you don't. Then
you can't keep Kuminga around because you're going to keep the Steph system and Kuminga doesn't work in it, and it's toxic. It's a toxicity between Curry.
I got no problem moving Kuminga. I don't think they do either. It's just a matter of what do you get in return for Kuminga.
I don't get. It's addition by subtraction at this point if you're committed to Steph and Kerr and Draymond.
I mean, why would you be committed to Steph and Draymond? They're not good. They're older players.
The alternative is you
only
commit
play
to Kuminga.
Once a week.
You commit to Kuminga or you commit to the old regime. I'm willing to hear both, but they're not going to do either, and that's the failure.
Kuminga's this.
I disagree. I think
Steph
Kuminga
is this.
Draymond's
this. All young players are getting better.
No,
all young players are getting better.
He's not.
Why is he not getting better?
He hasn't changed a bit.
You don't think Jonathan Kuminga is a better player today than when he walked into the NBA?
Is Brandon Podziemski?
What does that have to do with Jonathan Kuminga? I don't know.
Well, I'm just saying that some guys can plateau.
Is that somehow
the argument that he's going up?
Kuminga's success is tied to Podziemski?
No, this is a fundamental thing.
No,
just because he's young doesn't mean that he has more room to grow.
But Podziemski's regressed because Podziemski's got nothing you can do. He has no game. You can't. Podziemski is the only guy that when you swing it on the perimeter,
great athlete.
When you swing it on the perimeter to Podziemski, as a fan, I'm not rooting for him to do anything.
Correct.
I don't want him to shoot it because I know he can't shoot it. I don't want him to drive because I know he can't finish.
I get it.
So it's like, what do? You rebound and you cycle the ball around, and that's where
he's a young player in his second year. Shouldn't he be getting better?
Well, not if the league found him out. I mean, and maybe he is getting better. It's not a straight line, but I mean, Kuminga definitely is better. The numbers show it, and his shot is way better than it was as a rookie. I mean, he looks way better than he was at 19. You don't think he looks quite a bit better than he did when he first came into the league? I thought
no. That's
league,
a different conversation than his arrow is pointing up. That's a different thing.
You don't think he's getting better? He's 21. No. 22.
He's 22, and I don't think that he's any better than he was last year. With ample opportunity.
I would say that the odds of Jonathan Kuminga getting better are really, really good.
Oh, he'll put up the numbers, but he has not. You and I both know what winning basketball looks like, particularly in this system. And he is no better in the system, and he is no better in playing winning basketball than he was last year or arguably the year before that. At what point do you need to say that this system or what the Warriors do isn't worth it? And so the question then is you have to ask yourself, okay, are we committed to the system and the way we do things here, which is predicated by Steph Curry and his style? Or are we committed to the talent of Jonathan Kuminga, at least the athleticism of Jonathan Kuminga? Because you have to make a choice.
I mean, coaches are supposed to coach. I mean, young players are supposed to improve. If the Warriors' young players aren't improving, wouldn't that be on the coach?
Sure, you can use that argument, but you could also say that Jonathan Kuminga isn't willing to buy into what the coach is selling.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt. But Kerr doesn't. I mean, if I was Jonathan Kuminga, I wouldn't like Kerr either. I mean,
correct, because Kerr holds him to account.
Sheets. He's been playing, donkeys like Anthony Lamb and Ty Jerome over me in past years.
Imagine if
Moses Moody shouldn't feel too good about Kerr either. Really, I mean, neither of those guys have come along. Kerr's not necessarily been a very good coach for these young players. I mean, Trace Jackson Davis hasn't improved. Podziemski hasn't improved. I mean, if we're going to say that Kuminga hasn't improved, then those guys haven't improved.
Well, I think
none of these guys are trusted agents, or nor should they be, at least.
Correct. And so why are you betting on if it's all the bottom's going to fall out? Okay, when Steph leaves, if it hasn't already fallen out, the bottom's going to fall out, and you're about to go into the quote unquote real NBA if you're not already there. Do you want to be tied to Jonathan Kuminga to pull you out of that, hoping that this guy who has shown no emotional growth, if nothing else, has shown no professional growth, if nothing else, who is basically still just raw athleticism manifest, hasn't shown an ounce of game or creativity or guile. He's just dude dunk, kind of Zion Williamson light. You want to bet on that? Or do you want to say, okay, the bottom's going to fall out and we'll rebuild and we'll be good at rebuilding? Because if you lock in with Jonathan Kuminga, you are locking in mediocrity at best, locking it in. And that's where you're at now. So if you like where you're at now, that's cool. That's great. It's probably not going to get any better than this.
Wow.
I don't believe in him at all. At all. Me and JD are aligned.
Wow.
Not a winning basketball player.
I don't think you're going to win either way, so it doesn't really matter.
Then you're not direction. Pick a direction. Fire Kerr and trade Curry and trade Draymond and jumpstart and build around Jonathan Kuminga, or get rid of Kuminga, who can't play in that system and who is bringing down the collective by behind the scenes stuff, and commit to those guys and see how far they can take you. And if you can't win either way, at least go with the one that isn't a pain in the ass. At least you know what you got in Kerr and Steph and Draymond. At least you can sell nostalgia for a couple of years.
Yeah, I don't
think
so.
Selling Jonathan Kuminga is great for a week, and then everyone's like, and that's it?
I'd rather take a guy who's getting better and then the guys that are getting worse.
The fact that
the guys that are getting worse are going to be worse tomorrow than they are today, and by definition.
I agree.
Kuminga,
they have a lot more to fall than Jonathan Kuminga. Jonathan Kuminga has so much room to go up, and it's now this belief of, oh, well, he's only 22. Well, next year will be he's only 23, and then at a certain point you go, oh, fuck, he never got better, did he? He never became an all-star, did he?
Well, they got to decide what he is. I mean, it's
agree.
like, dude, you're keeping this guy. Well, you holding this guy hostage.
And the fact that they couldn't sign him to a contract this past offseason, the fact that Kuminga's like, I'm a max player, and they're like, the fuck you are. That's when you move on from him, because it's not going to get no one's going to find, he's never going to be a max player. They were right in saying that he's not a max player. And if you hold that opinion of yourself after last year, what the hell is going to happen this year? Oh, you guys were right. I'm not that good. Like, that's when you move on. And instead they're like, no, let's play it out another year. Let's find out. There's nothing to find out. Talk about Jonathan Kuminga as if he's 22. He's been a 4-year veteran in the NBA. He's been in this league long enough. You know what he is. And there's going to be a new batch of young guys who will come in at 19, and 2 of them are going to hit. And then the next year, a couple more are going to hit. And just a new batch every year. And you're just going to be hanging on Jonathan Kuminga's potential. This is the kind of player that eats inept front offices alive. And it's the reason why the same teams in the NBA are shitty year in and year out. Eats them alive. And the Warriors are getting eaten alive because they're too petrified to make a mistake that they won't do anything in either direction. Pick a lane and go for it. You're going to lose either way. At least do something about it. Don't let fate happen to you. Choose your fate, even if it is going to end up in the same end point.
Yeah, I mean, I'd much rather go with somebody with a future than somebody who's done.
Fair.
I mean,
then do it. Then
Steph
buy
Curry's
in and do it.
So done.
That's
so
fine.
Done.
Then
and
buy in
Draymond
and do
Green's
it.
done too.
That's
the thing with the Warriors. The Warriors it's sad because it's like the Warrior fans are all in love with Steph and Draymond and
totally.
and
the Warriors are so
it's
afraid.
like a great party that is over and
that's
it's
fine.
like, oh man, we can't get rid of Steph, and it's like,
Can't
oh
do
man,
it. Can't
Steph
do it.
is so done. And
when Clay left, everything should have been on the table because the nostalgia play no longer carried the same weight. And that was your opportunity, much like with the 49ers. You lose in the overtime of the Super Bowl. This is your opportunity to do some pretty serious pivoting on the fly. But because teams hold on to what they have, and this is a byproduct of people who inherited good situations. You see this, I think you can argue this with Kyle, right? Just given a job in the NFL. Didn't work his way up through anything. Here you go. You're on John Gruden's staff now. They hold on to what they have more than they're willing to take the risk. Joe Lacob is unrecognizable right now. Venture capitalists constantly taking risks to build up this fortune. And now the Warriors taking risks, build up the Warriors. And now that they're there, just hold on for dear life. There's no risk taking. There's no aggression.
Well, because he's all about getting paid back on his investment at this point.
Entirely.
He doesn't, we're not going to take a backslide. Really. That's a neat little trick.
That's a great way to backslide.
And it's like he doesn't want to. He's the opposite of Bill Walsh. Bill Walsh is like, get rid of you a year too soon.
Correct.
He's like, oh no, we're not getting rid of these.
No,
guys.
because I have to. I'm going to sell tickets.
I've got to get people through the turnstiles and this.
People might see me as somebody. I make this decision, but like, they're so afraid of not being seen as the smartest guys in the room that they're going to end up looking pretty damn stupid to everybody.
Yeah,
make a call.
Actually.
Do it.
Well,
do it one way or
another. It's like, dude, nothing.
Same thing that happened with the Giants.
Nothing sadder than the old guy just trying to hold on, and that's
dyeing their hair and going to the club. You're 65 years old, man.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like that stupid shirt off.
It's like they're just so desperate to get keep the Warrior thing going, and it's just so over.
Yep.
But it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. But they're not winning anymore. And that's the thing. It's like they're not winning any more titles with Steph. So maybe you should just have a real conversation with Steph and be like, Steph,
what do you want?
Do it. We're not winning any more titles here with you. So where do you want to be? You want to go to the Knicks? We'll trade you to the Garden. We'll take a bunch of picks for the Knicks. You can go win for the Knicks. The Knicks would be where I'd go if I was him. I mean,
I don't think that there's actually a
Charlotte
mechanism in which they can make that happen. But yeah,
I mean, what's that?
I think the Knicks are hard capped at the second apron, and they just gave up 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. So, like, I don't think they can make a trade. I think that they're. But I get what you're saying.
But I mean, like, it's like if you're all about winning a championship with Steph Curry, and that can't happen, then it's like, okay, then what? Okay, so that's your goal. Your goal is to win a championship with Steph Curry. Okay, it can't happen. Now what?
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah.
What do? You got this super expensive arena. You got a basketball team that's kind of irrelevant. They got off to a hot start and have now circling the drain.
Yeah.
Kerr looks like he's about ready to just lose it.
I think they're hoping, like most people who are born without a sense of agency, they're just hoping that someone else makes the decision for them. Oh, Steph retired. It wasn't our decision. He just retired. Clay just left. It wasn't our decision. He just left. Draymond decided he wanted to go to. Oh, it wasn't our decision. Oh, Kirk quit. Oh, it wasn't our decision. He just and things just happen. And that's a great way to end up in the bottom because that's not a plan. That's just happenstance. That's just having the world crumble around you and then pretending as if you planned it all the way. Yeah, straight hater. Explain to me the alternative here.
Larry is a straight hater for real. Why am I a hater? Because I said that Steph's done. Did I hurt your feelings?
The team that's 3-12 in their last 15 games deserves respect.
I mean, seriously, bro. Come out of your Santa's workshop and, come off of Candy Cane Lane and back to reality.
I'd love to go to Candy Cane Lane. That means I'm watching good basketball. I'm wasting my time with this squad every night.
Yeah. I mean, it's just they're nobody loves the Warriors more. I mean, when you guys were, doing not being Warrior fans, I was a Warrior fan.
Yeah.
I was there for all those lean years. So sorry. I wasn't just there for a couple titles and now like trying to extend it. They got their titles. I mean, good for them. They got their titles, but
they got one more than they thought they'd get.
Yeah. That was their lucky title. The other teams kind of crapped the bed. They got their lucky title against the Celtics. And, that's the way it is.